Hey love, this is Magda K. Welcome. So today in this video I want to share with you my story of why I got off the pill and the challenges that I faced when I did that. So I was on a pill for I think 10 years. And I was on a pill for two reasons. Number one is that from the very beginning my periods were incredibly irregular. I would have periods sometimes once in 3 months, so I never knew when it would come, and this not knowing was just really annoying because I was like, oh, I don't know if I can wear like a white skirt today, what if I get my period? Or I'm going diving or some camps, like what if my period comes? So through being on a pill, I just knew exactly when my period was coming. And the second reason was that back in the time I partied a lot and I drank a lot, and I did have a few moments when I didn't remember exactly what happened the night before, so I wanted to stay on pill in case I did something really stupid that would be able to impact the rest of my life. My mom had cancer, breast cancer, so I was told by doctors that I actually shouldn't be on a pill because it can be, an extra danger level to my health because of, like my mom had a breast cancer. They would say that as a daughter, you actually shouldn't be doing this. And it was a big concern for me. But to be honest, the convenience of being on a pill just overruled that fear. Now what happened next is I left the West, I left the corporate world, and I moved to Asia, to Southeast Asia, which has a very different energy. It's very sensual, very connected to nature, and I got into spirituality and I got into Tantra. And so a whole big theme of these practices is to connect to yourself, connect to your body, feel your body, listen to your body, listen to your intuition. And so a big part of it was also listening to my female body. Going through cycles, the body changes, it has different needs. And I was basically shutting down that voice by being on a pill. So I was growing more and more aware of that, and I wanted actually to reconnect to my body. I wanted to give my body a chance to communicate with me. And so I decided that I wanted to listen to the actual message and not to the pill. And also, I was getting more and more exposed to all of these different teachings, how to align your cycle of the moon, how we should align our work and our eating habits to where we are on the cycle. And so I really wanted to try this. It felt really right. And eventually, honestly, once I stopped, drinking alcohol and I let go of any other things that were not healthy for my body, and I was doing so many practices to help my body feel healthy and for all the energy to move through the body, it just didn't feel right anymore to be putting something foreign, some chemicals into my body. And so that's when I decided that I will get off the pill. So I was aware that, I've heard the stories that the pill can actually really shake our hormonal balance, so that some women really struggle to get pregnant after being on a pill for a longer time. But I had in the past breaks from the pill and my period would come, everything was fine, so it wasn't my concern. However, when I did get off the pill, my period did not come for a month. I was like, okay, that can happen. 2 months, 3 months have passed and it still didn't come. And so I started worrying, and I did go to a doctor to see what's happening. So I got the test done, and basically the answer was that just my ovaries don't produce enough hormones, and it's a condition that cannot be cured. So what the doctor suggested for me to do is to take a certain hormonal pill to kind of trigger the first cycle. So like, okay, I'll do that. So I did this, maybe my body just needed a bit of an external boost after being on a pill for so long. I did that, the period did come, it was very light, but after that again a month passed and the period didn't come again, and it didn't come again. So again I went to see the doctor, and what he recommended was to go on a certain hormonal pill and be taking that. So I asked him, like, okay, well, is it something that's going to help my body start producing all of the hormones on its own? And he said, no, this is not going to cure you. It's just going to replace the hormones that your body is not producing. And that really didn't sound good. And I also asked him, well, how long should I be taking this? And he said, until you want to have a child. And that was, some years ago. And I was like, I'm not planning on having kids for 5-10 years. He's like, well, then that's how long you're taking them. So it just didn't really make sense to me, because what the whole point of getting off the pill was not to be putting anything foreign in my body, not to be taking external hormones, and now I would be still doing that. So it just didn't make sense to me. And I remember actually being on a bus back from the doctor home, and I was crying like crazy. Back then, in those times, I didn't think I would ever want a child, to be honest, so that never seemed to be a problem. But it's very different when you hear from a doctor that you won't be able to have children. And so, I was super confused. I remember crying like an idiot on the bus, and just people looking at me, what's wrong with her? And really not knowing what to do. But all I knew is that that didn't seem like the answer. I just didn't want to be taking hormones. To me, I wasn't solving any issue. I was, again, suppressing something. So I decided to ignore the advice of a doctor, which, by the way, in no way am I saying ignore your doctors. I'm just saying that was my story. It just didn't feel right. I took this decision very consciously. What happened next? So at that time, I was in Poland, where I'm from. So I was living in Asia before. I went back to Poland for about a year, and that's when I got off the pill, and that's when my period didn't come. And a lot of things were happening in my life, and I felt super stagnant. And I decided that I just wanted to visit Asia again, so I went for a month to visit my friends and reconnect to nature and this beautiful spirit of Bali, specifically, where I'm, by the way, right now recording this video. So I took the trip, and the crazy thing is that by the end of the trip, I got my period back. So it came on its own without any pills, and it was perfect duration, perfect amount, not too much, not too little. And since then, I've had my period pretty much basically every month. Beautiful, beautiful cycle. So even before the pill, my cycle was absolutely crazy irregular. Now it came back, and it seemed to be beautifully regular. So my experience with taking the pill and then not being on the pill was really about my connection to myself as a woman, to my feminine body. And if you think about it, what do we usually, think about menstrual cycle? It's inconvenient, right? And the message that we're actually sending to ourselves is that it's inconvenient to be a woman, because having a period, it's a fundamental aspect of being a woman if our body is healthy. Whether you want to have kids or not, you're gonna have your period. And so when we try to suppress it or control it, it's actually trying to suppress and control our femininity. So for me, for 10 years, just not allowing my body to do what it's designed to do, once I realized that, it was painful to admit it, how much I was not allowing myself to be who I was designed by nature and the way my body wanted to be. And so getting off the pill and having these struggles, it was an interesting wake-up call for me to help me understand that this whole mechanism is there for a reason, and there's so much wisdom in the period. So right now, that's really crazy, but sometimes my period would come earlier, and that usually happens when I've been just going through a lot of things, that I've been processing a lot of emotions, and so my period comes earlier, and it's more heavy and more painful, because it's like my body is releasing, all of these emotions and the traumas and painful memories together with the cycle. So there's that wisdom. Other times my period would come earlier, and I was like, what's wrong? Oh no, why is it happening? I would panic. I would be like, what am I doing wrong? And then, for example, in the time when I was meant to have my period, something comes up. Like, for example, I can go diving with sharks. And by the way, you're not meant to really dive with sharks when you're on your cycle, because the blood attracts them. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like my body knew that there was this thing coming to my life before it actually came to my life. So it came earlier to give me space. So I'm amazed by the wisdom of my cycle. And I was disconnected from that wisdom when I was on a pill. I do want to add that I'm not saying don't be on the pill or don't take any hormonal solutions that help you plan when and if you're having children. I think that's a very important aspect for us these days, is that we get to choose, if and when we want to have kids. And I don't think that should be taken away from a woman, but there is this whole downside to taking hormones, and that's the strong disconnection from your body, from the wisdom of your body. So of course, decision ultimately is yours, but I hear a lot of women kind of not sure whether they want to stay on the pill or not, and I just wanted to share my personal story. So this is what happened to me, this is why I was taking it and why I decided to get off the pill. I will tell you that right now, yes, I do track my period, and I practice tantric lovemaking with my partner, which means we practice non-ejaculation. So that's like this extra safety, you could say. I'm still trying to be, of course, very cautious about everything. I understand that we have to be more careful, but to me right now, the benefits of being connected to my body are just way higher than the convenience of deciding when my period comes. So I hope that you like this video, and I would love to hear from you. Are you on a pill? Have you ever been on a pill? If you decided to get off the pill, why did you do it, and how was the process for you? And if you like this video and you would like to have more conversations like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel and connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, and email. You'll find the links below as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you soon.